What's up guys, and welcome back to another Pokemon Sun and Moon coverage video, and today we are going to be talking about Zygarde, more specifically Zygarde Cells and Cores. Now before we go into that, we're going to look at Zygarde in general and talk a little bit about it and have a little bit of a think, and then we're going to move into Zygarde Cells and why I'm actually making the video, what sort of, put me on to making this video, because there's something related to Sun and Moon which we have seen which could strongly link to Zygarde, and obviously we'll see more when we get there. But as I mentioned, first we're going to look at Zygarde. Obviously we have 50% Zygarde, the Zygarde we all know and love, and then along with it we have the other 4 forms of Zygarde. There are 5 in total. We have Zygarde Cores, Zygarde Cells, Zygarde 10% form, and then Zygarde Complete form alongside the 50% form. Now each of these are obviously different in their own special way, but they all serve different purposes as well. From what we've gathered through the descriptions on the Pokemon site as well as stuff in the anime, Zygarde Cores are the actual Zygarde itself. It acts as a brain for the other Zygarde forms, apart from Zygarde Cells, of course. Zygarde Cells are sort of dormant creatures. They're similar to Cores, except they don't have a mind of their own, they can't do anything, they simply sort of do the bidding of Zygarde Cores themselves. And then each different Zygarde form is, basically a Zygarde core with loads of cells around it. So the cells and cores are sort of the base of everything else, and they build from that. And it's important to note that neither the cores nor the cells can actually fight themselves, as we've been told. Like the cores themselves, they don't have any moves. Obviously the cells are dormant anyway, they don't do anything apart from, whatever the cores want. But the core itself does not have any moves. It cannot use any moves, and it's never actually seen fighting in that way. It simply just jumps about. But obviously the way it does attack and does sort of fight back is absorbing loads of cells, turning into Zygarde 10% form or even 50% form, and then using moves in that form. So the two basic forms are just that basic. They can't actually use moves. So we can assume maybe in the Pokemon, in Pokemon Sun and Moon, we know that Zygarde 10%, 50% and Complete form are going to appear, but the cores and the cells is a bit different because obviously they don't have any moves. So it's not like you can have a Zygarde core Pokemon, or can you? One idea I had the other day, yes, okay, cores, they're not going to be able to fight in battle. I don't think anyone expects them to be able to fight in battle, but they could still be a Pokemon of sorts. What I'm thinking of here is an egg-like, sort of similar to an egg, basically. Now, Pokemon eggs, you can hold them in your party, you can have them, you can do stuff with them, whatever, but you can't battle with them, of course. And they just act like that until they hatch. Because looking at egg status screens when they're in your party, the first thing it says, obviously Pokemon info, bad egg, okay, you can just put Zygarde Core there. Obviously it's not a Pokeball as such. Typing, again, you could put question marks on Zygarde Core's type, or you could just put, Dragon Ground, because that's what it is. State, trainer memo, you could, change those things out for other things. It's possible, it's plausible for you to have a Zygarde Core in your party to act similar to an egg, It's like an egg, but it's not an egg almost, until it becomes something else, you can't use it in battle, as eggs are anyway. So Zygarde Core could be sort of a game, be in the game for you to have in your party, just not battle with. Why am I talking about this anyway? Well, because we're thinking about the concept of Zygarde in Sun and Moon, and the cores and the cells particularly. Before we get onto that, however, I'm going to take a quick look at Zygarde Complete form, because as we were as I mentioned earlier, the Zygarde core makes up the brain of a Zygarde 10% or 50% form, but it's slightly different for Complete form, at least we've been told so. It might not end up being this way in the anime or in the games, but apparently, instead of just having a single core control Zygarde Complete form, it has multiple cores, apparently one for each of its arms, whatever you want to call them, on its back, as well as one for its tail. So let's have a think about that in terms of lore. I'm not going to think about it in terms of, I might think about it in terms of the games, but I'm not going to, I doubt it's actually going to perform this way. So we have 4 wings, as they're called, and then 1 tail, so that'd be 5 Zygarde cores in total. Where have we seen 5 sort of different things with Zygarde before? On its chest, it has 5 different colours. We have red and blue, light blue, orange, and then white in the centre. Maybe that's related to this here. We've mentioned in the impossibility in past videos that Zygarde, Xerneas, Yveltal, Xerneas, Solgaleo and Lunala could make up these 4 colours and then have a mystery last colour either being another Pokemon, another legendary, or being Zygarde itself. But of course these colours could also be referring to different Zygarde cores, because we've seen 2 cores in the anime so far. A red one, Squishy, which is with the team, and there's also one with a blue core, which is known as Z2, which is elsewhere, it's not really with the team, it's around. So maybe they're blue and red, maybe these represent the first 2 colours for X and Y, one core for X, one core for Y, and then we have Maybe maybe in the end there'll be more Zygarde cores, maybe in the anime in Sun and Moon, who knows, we don't know where this is going to go, but you could have a Moon core and a Sun core with orange and light blue respectively, which leaves us with the last colour. Now, as I speculated in the Zygarde colours video, the white colour could represent Marshadow or something similar to that as a higher being that's related to Zygarde that Zygarde also has control over, or it could relate to Zygarde itself. Either way, we could have a 5th Zygarde core with a white centre, and this could be related to Pokemon Eclipse possibly, as sort of a final game there, and sort of, combining Generation 6 and Generation 7 together. But those are just my thoughts on the Zygarde cores there. It's not really related to why I made this video, I just thought I'd throw it out there. Why I made this video was because of Zygarde Cells, which we're going to look at now. So, Zygarde Cells, what do we know? Well, there is a short blurb, I guess you could call it, on the Pokemon site that was revealed for Sun and Moon particularly, about Zygarde Cells, and here it is. Cells make up the parts of Zygarde other than its brain, and the rest of the body as we mentioned. There are many more cells than there are cores, and they exist all around the Alola region. Cells do not possess wills of their own, they act in accordance with the orders of the core, as I've mentioned, but here, the particular thing we look at, they exist all around the Alola region. Why not say they exist all around the world, or they exist all around the Kalos region, or all of the regions? Why specifically mention the Alola region unless they are going to play a part in the games? Now we'll just have a quick mention of how these cells actually work. Well, as it's mentioned here, they're all around the Alola region, they're basically invisible and they're parts of the ecosystem. In the very first episode of XYZ in the anime, you can see these cells are used. They just appear from anywhere. You can see one on the tree here, one on sort of a rock. It is invisible and it becomes visible when a Zygarde core cools it, and then these cells, they spring up out of the sky, and then the Zygarde core absorbs it to become Zygarde 10% form or 50% form. So how might this work in the games if Zygarde cells are indeed going to sort of become one? Well, one idea would be if you have a core in your party, you can maybe absorb Zygarde cells like that, and once you get enough cells, you then gain the ability to become a Zygarde 10% form or a 50% form, or just a Zygarde in general. We don't know, and it'd be like a little mini quest of going around the Alola region to get these Zygarde cells to be able to then get a full Zygarde, rather than just being able to catch a Zygarde. It's a bit more complicated than that, because of course we do know, as we have speculated already, that a Zygarde core is possibly in Lily's bag. We don't know exactly if that's right, we don't know, we don't know much, it's just speculation. Also know that Lily's eyes are actually green, maybe that's related, who knows there. So there's a possible Zygarde core in the Alola region thanks to Lily, but what about the Zygarde cells? Where are they? Well, we've been told they're all around the Alola region, but where are they particularly? Are we going to have to sort of, are they going to be sort of Pokeballs lying on the ground? You have to walk up to it and say, oh, I found a Zygarde cell, yay! Maybe. Or maybe we've already seen a Zygarde cell and we just haven't noticed it yet. In the most recent trailer for Sun and Moon, a Japanese one, there was a slight hint of a Zygarde cell. Here is the clip for you guys to see, and we'll sort of break it down afterwards. You can see here, Tauros riding, and boom, there's a little glint of light. Didn't see it, well, we're going to break it down nonetheless. We have it frame by frame here of this this new sort of scene. Bit by bit, we're going to break it down. So you can see here, it starts off with this green light, this green spot, and it carries on, and this green spot then changes into two green spots almost, one being slightly darker, and then it's sort of almost like it's shifting itself, nice green sort of light, and then it eventually hides behind the tree, it would seem, as if light was glinting off of it as it moved behind the tree. So what is this? Well, of course, it could be a Zygarde cell. Why? Well, because they exist all over the Alola region, they exist, anywhere, on the ground, on trees, whatever, and, glinting light maybe is a hint that an invisible cell is there. Now, obviously you could be saying, well, it's not this, it's not a Zygarde cell, it's just a leaf falling from the tree. Well, possibly, or you could say it's light glinting through the tree, as a sort of, just sort of extra effect of the landscape. Well, possibly. But noticing also in this clip, the trees on the left, there are no leaves falling, there is no light glinting through, and also notice here that yes, this light moves slightly and goes behind the tree, so you could say, oh, it's down to the character moving, so the light doesn't come from the same angle, yes, but if it was a leaf falling, it would not fall in this direction, it would fall to the ground and not behind. But I've looked through all of the other trailers and footage we've seen in Sun and Moon, I have never seen another leaf fall from a tree anywhere, or light glint from a tree anywhere. The only sort of near thing is this grove which we've seen, which obviously just has light coming down through it, which is, you know, not the same sort of thing. So we haven't seen it before. If they were going to have leaves falling from trees and stuff like that, why would it not be everywhere? You know, why not make it a permanent feature? Why only have it in this one particular thing? Okay, we haven't seen the whole region yet, but why haven't we seen it before? And then finally, let's actually compare the light to a Zygarde core, or Zygarde cell rather. Yes, okay, in some instances it's just a single blob, but you know, as mentioned already, it's light glinting off of it and, you know, reflecting the invisible one. But the image where it looks most like a Zygarde cell here, if I compare them, yes, okay, they look similar. There's a big blob and then a smaller blob behind it, and if I bring sort of the outline of it over, it almost fits exactly. Almost exactly. So I believe, this is my personal belief of course, that this is a Zygarde cell in the wild, in the Alola region, being hidden almost. But of course I'm not saying this is the case. I just think it is myself. How would this work with the game? Well, maybe when you get a Zygarde core in your team finally, maybe in the after game, the post game or whatever, you have to walk around, you know, the Alola region, and then maybe the Zygarde core will react to these cells and it will then, you know, get more power. And once you get maybe 20, 30, 40 cells, you have enough cells, you know, and your Zygarde core hatches or changes into a Zygarde 10% form, and then obviously you'll have the ability to maybe change it in the future. Who knows? Those are just my thoughts, guys. What I want to know is from you. Do you think this is a Zygarde cell in the newest trailer, or do you think it's just a trick of the light, just a little bit of light, you know, whatever? Or do you think it's a Zygarde cell? Let me know, and also let me know how you think the Zygarde feature, or the Zygarde mechanic almost, is going to work in Sun and Moon. Do you think we're going to get a core, and then do you think we're going to have to like collect cells all around the region to get our Zygarde, or do you think Zygarde's going to appear in a completely different way? Let me know what you think down below in the comments section, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. But for now, this is going to be it for me for today. I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.